Jordan, do you think that YY really broke his collarbone, or was this a very well-timed excuse not to go to Ledge Conference?
Oh no. I mean, if that's really his x-ray, it looks like he broke it pretty good.
You could pull that X-ray from the internet.
I
Come
know.
on.
Yeah, you could just do a Google search of broken collarbone. If he
Broken.
did,
Yeah.
if he did, I feel terrible for him
Yeah.
because broken collarbones are one of the worst to break.
Yeah. Poor
Can't get a
kiddo.
cast. I broke mine like when I was in elementary school, and it took forever. You just have to wear like a backpack sling the whole time. And
Oh,
yeah, right
chasing
before
girls.
right
Chasing
before
girls.
summer. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
How's it going?
How good. How are you, Jason? Hey, Sam.
Good, good,
Hi,
good.
good to see you.
Good
Long
to
time
see
no
you.
talk.
I know. I know. What's that in your background, Sam? Is that Chicago?
It is, and it's 70 and beautiful today. It's like
Nice.
Nice.
spring. Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, spring.
I know. It's
But
here.
Crazy.
it will snow tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you. You can keep that. Are we gonna wait on Jeff, or should we just
He's traveling today, so
Oh, okay,
we'll just be
perfect.
standing on.
All right. Well, I'll give y'all ye old BeerNet Radio welcome. Today on BeerNet Radio, we have Phusion Projects co-founder Jaisen Freeman and CMO Sam Catalina. Now, I got to give you the OG intro too. Longtime BBD readers will recognize Phusion Projects for Loko, of course. You know,
Of
you
course.
guys, you were everywhere in the early aughts, right? You exploded into pop culture and on talk shows and in the news too for your cult following and the caffeine as well, which we all get at the bar these days, Jack and Coke. But anyway, but then the feds
Still
barred the cap.
around. Caffeine and alcohol still around.
Right,
It always has
exactly.
been.
No way. But yeah, so then the feds took out the caffeine, but you guys are still a leading player in C stores, right? I think you're just about a top 10 player in C stores, growing, gaining share. Today, you guys also have spirits brands like Basic Vodka and some RTDs partnering with Barstool Sports like Mamitas and Pirate Water. So welcome. You guys do it all, man.
We try to have fun. If
Yeah.
we're having fun, what's the point? So
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, I want to get into all the new brands, but I
yeah,
think it's important to note that Four Loko is still going strong. And
yeah,
Jason, you told me that Jungle Juice is trending as the number one new item in FMB innovation in USC stores and indies.
yep, yep,
And I think Cosmic Punch took that title last year.
yes.
So
And
with, go ahead.
and the
Sorry.
year before USA took that title. So for local USA
Oh,
title. So
nice.
the
It's
three-peat. The three-peat.
three-peat, a hat trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, so that said, what are you guys looking at when you're innovating in Four Loko? Because of course it's a brand that's super flavor forward,
Yep.
provocative. How do you keep pulling that rabbit out of the hat?
Yeah, I think that for Four Loko, it's part of pop culture, and it used to be us and a couple other of our friends around, and now everybody's kind of fighting for that space and category. It is the category FMB,
Mhm.
and so for us, there's only so many fruit flavors or candy flavors that you can make, and everyone has the same ones. And if you look at, especially convenience, but even grocery now is selling single FMBs because they have to. You go in there with another cherry berry or another fruit punch, you're like, I have seven of these. What can you give me? And I think the work that Sam and I and team have done is how do we create a platform, right, where it translates all the way through. And so For Local USA is really, about being American. For Local is unapologetically American and in your face. And so it was a natural fit. It was right around the Olympics. And so, we built that platform. So that's not only on the can, that's on social media, that's in store, that's how we activate it in events, right? And then Cosmic Punch was the same. It's really an alien theme, and now we have Jungle Juice, which is very similar, is looking at a platform as opposed to just another flavor that 10 other brands have, and that's been successful for us. And then we'll continue down that path as we move forward. And Sam, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been fun and easy, and I think as long as we keep cans bright and vibrant, just like the brand is, and allow our consumers to, tell and create epic stories like we always have, that's what those SKUs have done for us.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, it's interesting. I would assume when you guys are describing this, platforms versus flavors, I assume you like wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, I've got it. Or, you probably draw inspirations from some very interesting places.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot. And I think it's fun with Four Loko because there are no boundaries. There's no rules. We can really do whatever we want. There's no book on Four Loko. It breaks all the rules. And so I think our teams internally, the names have come from everywhere, not just Sam and I. And we take them and say, okay, what makes sense and how can we, execute on a real marketing platform. So it's a fun brand to work on. And everyone's and salespeople want to be marketing people. They give their 2 cents too. We always listen and try to, make it into an actual, branding exercise. So
I wanted to ask about one of those innovations in particular,
Yep.
the Warheads collab,
Yes.
the Cosmic Punch.
Right.
Obviously, we've seen like a number of energy players collab with confectionaries.
Right.
Do you see this becoming a trend in beverage alcohol too? And are you eyeing more releases with confectionery brands?
Yeah, I think I think when we were looking at a platform, we saw what was happening, with Mountain Dew and Jack and Coke, the Beast, right? With Monster, we saw these collabs going, and we really stood back and looked like what makes sense with Four Loko. Sour is our bread and butter, and what's the sourest candy? It was Warheads.
Yeah.
And what we found interesting was actually Warheads candy is highly majority consumed by adults. So it was actually a good fit for us. So we went to them and they were like, yeah, this sounds like a great partnership. And the retailers loved it, the consumers loved it. And then we could do our crazy, marketing and content spin on it and do alien stuff. And it was timing. It was like, I think right when we launched this, there was people finding aliens in their backyard. And we thought the next thing that was going to happen to us, to millennials, with aliens were going to come forward. So, it all worked perfectly for our platform to create a broader story. So,
Do you see a lot of cannibalization with your innovation, or do Four Loko consumers, really get stuck on one brand in your portfolio, or is it more kind of like, I'll try this one day, try
yeah.
this the next,
Yeah.
and drink across?
Yeah, look, I think it's harder now than when, say 5 or 10 years ago, because especially in the category that Four Loko plays in, which is, the highly coveted 24-ounce can space in C stores, that's the bread and butter, not only for beer, but FMBs and everything else. And so, it is more competitive where, in C stores, we average, 3 to 4 SKUs, and independents, we average 6 to 8 SKUs per store, right? So it's easier in the independents, but a lot of the volume is through the convenience stores. So I think retailers want new, right?
Yeah.
But we have to balance that with, hey, we have a portfolio of products that really sell. But if you look, I mean, we're net up every year, and so the battle is not are the brands cannibalizing themselves? It's, can we continue to keep the space and add a +1 as opposed to swap out a flavor that's moving really well, right? So we've done a good job that with our sales team and working with our wholesalers to kind of explain that message, like, hey, this isn't just a consumer swap out. This is actually expanding the category and expanding the sales of Four Loko, which the data shows it is.
And just to add to that, something we're doing this year that's helping the overall portfolio is we're rebranding a little bit on Loko cans. So we're changing the color schematic a bit and making sure Four Loko is front and center on the can. So it's the first time that gold in our sour whole series is getting a facelift. So we're excited that's going to be in market late Q2. And, we think that's going to also help the velocity pick up, because the gold can, you'll see it actually feels like it has diamonds on it now.
Cool.
Yeah, we use some cool ink. So when you feel it, when you see it, it's like a diamond gold on the can.
Nice.
Yeah. So like Jason said, yeah, it's incremental in terms of purchases for consumers.
Very cool. So I'm curious, and obviously you want to stay competitive. You want to pop as much as you can.
Right.
Lots of competition in the space. What is your biggest competition in that space? Because when I see you guys, I also see the huge cans of Voodoo Ranger. I see the
Right.
chiladas. Like,
Yeah.
what is putting the most heat to your feet in
Yeah.
the channels?
Look, I mean, this is Loko's in its 15th year, right? And
Yeah.
so, which is wild that it's still culturally relevant. It's hard to keep a brand going that long. It's interesting. Like, I don't think like we don't compete for consumers with these brands. We just compete from space.
Mhm.
And so, for us, if we have 6 SKUs in a store, 8 or a 4 portfolio, it continues to go up. If we have less, the sales in that store continue to go down. And I think, we own a lot of occasions, right? We own the pregame occasion. It's before you're going out, before you're going to do something, before you're going to the game, before you're going to the club, before you're going to the festival. So you don't have to pay $19 for a beer. You can pick up a Four Loko for $3 to $4. And then you can just have one beer at the game or one, cocktail or whatever it is. So, I think all the flavor stuff is in there, but Four Loko definitely has its occasion that is untouched and unmatched. And we really know that, and we stay in that lane.
So who's the consumer though these days? Is it old farts like me who grew up with it?
No.
Younger, or who is it? Who is it?
You're not an old fart, but I mean, the interesting thing about Four Loko, it is the same consumer that it was 15 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
It's 21 to 25. And I think Sam and team have done a good job. I hear all the time, like, from people my age and people that started with Four Loko, they're like, oh, it's still around. And I'm like, that's the answer I want, because you should never see a marketing message. You should never see an ad pop up for you.
Yeah.
You never be at a place where Four Loko is advertising to. So we're doing our job, right? And I think the interesting thing is, especially with the platforms that we've created and the innovation, that 21, 25-year-old really think it's their brand. They don't realize 15 years ago the product had caffeine in it or whatever it is. Four Loko is that rite of passage, in that age demographic, and it's part of their night, it's part of their experience, it's part of their spring break, it's part of their, going to festivals. We have a partnership with Live Nation, where Four Loko is usually one of the top selling products in their festivals, whether it's Rolling Loud or EDC or any of these massive festivals. So we want to be around fun, and we want people to experience Four Loko when they're having their epic kind of time with their friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good segue into marketing and where you guys play there. Sam, I'm curious, I think you may have said this last time we chatted. Phusion owns almost half the share of voice for total FMB online.
Yeah. So I just had the team pull metrics again yesterday on all of this, and we continuously look at it. And the reason we like using share of voice is it's actually, consumers talking about us. So it's the most active engagement, because it's not just a passive view. It's not just a passive like where you're like scrolling and you might see it, but not necessarily remember it. It's them going in and adding us or talking about us or searching for us. So we still own almost half conversation online across all FMBs. We're still number one in terms of category for online conversation. And it really boils down to what the team's doing. It's funny because they'll show me things on TikTok, different platforms. They're like, we want to work with this person. I'm like, I don't know them. And that's what it should be like. Have you heard of this person? Like, he sent me someone recently, and I said it to our social media manager, CJ. And I was like, what do you think? He's like, oh my God, they're blowing up. Neither, we don't know who they are. So they're really good about finding the right moments, conversations to tap into, and doing it in a really authentic and organic way. We're also doing a lot this year. We have cultural campaigns, and essentially we're going into different time frames throughout the year. So, we have USA in gold. We should be talking about Olympics. There's probably something, we're not political, but it is an election year. So I'm sure we're going to have some fun with that, right? Across those brands. Four Loko's voice allows us to do that. It's fun. It's a little snarky. And then similarly, like looking at different platforms. So, this is one that we generally don't talk about, but, OnlyFans is a platform that is, has a certain thought on it, but they want to get into more, brand work and not be thought of the way they are. And it's like, if a brand should be on there, it should be Four Loko. So we started partnering with Barstool and one of their podcasts, Only Stands, with Glennie. And, we've kicked that off this year. So we're just doing things that are different. And I think that's what helps keep us relevant.
Yep. There's no rules for Four Loko.
Yeah.
I mean, there's standard marketing rules we do follow. Okay. So but other than that, we'll get
only the laws.
And the laws.
Beyond that.
We always comply with the laws. They're great
course.
laws. We always
the best. We love these laws.
And an interesting one that I can't talk about too much, but we will, is that there's a major production company. We're shooting Four Loko documentary right now, and it'll be on a major streamer. So the whole story is going to be relived, because everyone thinks they know the story, but It's been fun and scary and interesting all at the same time, because we usually stay under the radar after everything that's happened. But basically, this major streamer was like, "We're gonna do this, so you guys are either be involved or not." So we said, "Okay, we'll be involved." They're like,
I
"This
was
story
gonna,
story needs to
yeah,
be told." So
yeah. I'm curious why it took this long, but it makes sense. Well, you didn't really have a choice.
we just said no. We've said
Yeah,
no, no, no,
yeah,
no. And then finally, now the people that are in charge, at the major streamers are like, "Look, this is cultural history. Like, we
yeah,
have to tell this story."
yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to that.
it'll be fun.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, Jay, I don't know if you want to talk about the Barstool Sports stuff, because I know that's definitely top of mind.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to segue into that. I first wanted to ask about the pregame for Loko. I feel like that's
Yep.
a piece that we don't really see that often.
Yep.
But how's that line doing?
The line's doing really well. It's growing. It's become bigger part of our portfolio. It's interesting when we have pregame and their 7-ounce bottles in the stores with Loco. It's actually an enhancer to Four Loco. People are grabbing both. Look, the 7-ounce category, there's a couple different players that have tried to play in it. Fireball's tried, there's Johnny Bootlegger, there's a couple other players. It's a big category in like 7 states. And there's a lot of space for it, and there's some other brands, and we figured Four Loco was, the right brand to do it. And we've done it quiet and slowly, and it's just about building distribution every single year. And like I said, it's really Southeast focused. That's where that package size is very popular. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, and then kind of jumping off from that,
yeah,
I was going to ask y'all where's the hard tea, but I saw have a wicked tea in pregame and now tea with pirate water too.
yeah.
So as F&B professionals, what's your take on hard tea? Is there as much opportunity as people perceive?
Yeah.
Or is that a tougher nut to crack then?
Yeah, look, I think caffeine and alcohol, RT, oh my God.
It's naturally occurring.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, I think there's a clear leader, right? And what happens, and it's obviously not an overnight success. I mean, the brand's been around for a very, very long time. And tea is a very interesting category, but I think to me, what we see is that if you want to call it a subsegment of the F&B of the F&B category as tea, it's going to be like seltzer, right? There's 100 people rushing to it, and there's going to be a clear winner, and there's going to be another two, and then maybe a couple, three, four, fives. And I think for us is we figured that this shouldn't be the lead. It should be an right? So if we have a brand like Pirate Water and even pregame, it makes a lot of sense as an not try to lead with that, because there is a clear winner there. And I think they'll continue to be a winner. So
yeah. Well, going into Pirate Water, that launched last year. How's that line doing?
Yeah, it's doing well. In terms of media or the marketing behind it, we're investing as heavy, if not, more so than what we've done before. Who we've partnered with in terms of the Barstool lens is, Brianna LaPaglia, who's blown up in a big way, especially over the last year to 2 years. She's been an amazing partner with us on her podcast. And then we've also partnered with Old Row this year. So we're doing a lot of events, a lot of activations. It's really the number one, in the Southeast, channel they have. And so what we're seeing, we had our first event last weekend. When we sample this brand, people go buy it, especially on the tea. Once they try the liquid, they really like it. They like the brand. It's doing very well in places like that you wouldn't expect it to do well in. So Walmart's a big, very big partner of us on Pirate Water. And, you wouldn't think a 16-ounce single can would do well in grocery.
Yep.
It's doing well across all grocery. And it's because the Barstool logo is front and center. The POS is up, it's priced right, it's placed right. So, what we're seeing, and I'll let Jason add on, but what we're seeing to it is the partnership does really help this brand. And it's working in places that it, shouldn't be, and it's starting to really pick up in places that it should.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for us with this is again, we've been around for 15 plus years. And hopefully we're gonna be around 15 plus more. And I think the problem today with most brands is you want to be everywhere overnight, right? And it's like shotgun, go, spray, be everywhere. And the problem with that today is there's just too many things out there and too many things going on. And so for us is like, let's steadily grow this over time. And the same thing with pregame, right? We don't need to be up 100% every year. We just want to be going in the right direction, right? And so I think as we looked at this, we saw an opportunity for a different package size. 16 ounces really not got a lot of focus. 24 ounces, the big one, but there is space there that we wouldn't have to take away from highly competitive FMBs and 24s. And that's why we did it. And look, we started with, one of the biggest retailers who we're not supposed to mention, Sam, but it's the number one 16 ounce it's the number one 16 ounce brand family in that major retailer, the biggest in the world, right? And so look, that's not as big as a 24 ounce category, but we think with where pricing is gone, I mean, we've seen so much inflation in pricing for beer and FMBs that there may be an opportunity for a lower price point in a smaller package. And that's kind of why we started that with Pirate Water. Again, the Barstool brand and association is massive. 1 in 3 millennials touch a piece of Barstool content every day, which is a wild stat. No one else has that. So, we're growing with them, we're building with them, we're constantly doing, new and innovative stuff with them, and that creeps into Pirate Water. So
has it been as successful with Mamitas, right? Because that's also a partnership with Barstool. I know that's different though, because it's spirits based and it goes through Southern Glaciers, and what's the status there?
Yeah, listen, Mamitas, again, another slow and steady. We have some beer wholesalers. I think as we open up some other markets, we'll have some more. And so again, for us is steady growth. We have some big grocery chains. And listen, we've typically been a C-store and indie focused company. Again, Four Loko sold 1 can at a time, right? No multi-packs, maybe 2 furs at some of the stores. And so now for us selling, through Publix, which is a massive chain, obviously in Florida, the brand sells really well. It's really understanding programming and getting on that and then expanding, whether it's with Kroger and some of these other big banners, it takes time to filter through. So the awareness of Mamitas is probably as high as Fort Loko. But
really? Wow.
The consumer really can't find it everywhere. So that's the problem that we're running into. And that will just continue to grow as we think. I don't know, Sam, you want to talk some of the awareness stats on Mamitas? It's pretty wild.
It's kind of crazy. We pulled it yesterday, and we've always known we're number one, again, in that share of voice segment within tequila seltzer. And when you look at overall RTD, so if you look at any of the competitive set, we're 2 to the biggest out, and you know who the biggest one out there is, right? Something that we pulled though is our engagement rate is, the highest in terms of any spirit-based seltzer. So we have a really engaged audience. We have a lot of people that, know about us, are talking about us. Our search volume for the year is up 200% in Google searches. So, and when you look at overall tequila seltzer, it's up 50%. So we're, tripling, quadrupling the actual stats in terms of category. And we just did, one of our big music festivals is Tortuga. It's a country music fest on the beach in Florida. It's, exactly who the Mamitas consumer is. And Jason and I are walking around, we have some Mamitas swag on, and so many people know it now. And they're like, you have national awareness on this brand. And it's through what we've done, not only with Barstool, we partner with Caleb Presley on Sunday Conversations. He's wonderful and so fun. He just had Cardi B. He loved the product. You haven't watched it, check it out.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Oh, it's so funny. And then we also brought on some new ambassadors since we last talked. So Brody Jenner has always been part of the brand. We also now work with Mauricio Humansky and Kyle Richards. So Kyle was one of the original Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She's still on the show. Mauricio's her husband. He has a show, Buying Beverly Hills, on Netflix. It's actually the number 4 show globally on Netflix right now. And we're featured all throughout that show. So, they're posting online, they're doing appearances for us. So, based on what we're doing on media, on these big events and activations, as well as the, ambassador partnerships, we know that the consumer is looking for us. And it's just a matter now of, as we're getting distribution going, or, making sure we're in stock, because we pulled yesterday, the amount of retailers we're in for Mamitas, it's 50 plus of the biggest retailers, grocery, convenience in the country. And it's kind of wild. And, we were talking about overall, like how brands grow, and it generally takes 4 to 5 years to get it going. We're in year 3.5 of Mamitas. And so we know that like it's right at a pivotal point to go.
Interesting. So if I'm hearing both of you correctly, the only thing that may be holding this brand back a tiny bit is the fact that it's spirits-based and can't go through more channels, right? Is that?
Yeah, I think it's spirit-based. It can't go through more channels. I think also spirits-based RTDs getting the share of space is just starting to happen.
Okay.
Right. See, there's the clear leader. And then that space is now being competitive with the malt-based seltzers, right? So now I think that whole world is shaking out. The winners are rising, and the rest are kind of filtering out. So this year we've gotten a lot of new grocery placements, cold now as opposed to warm on the shelf with Mamitas, right? And when it's warm, it's like we get 3 8-packs in there, and then it's out of stock. We're finding a lot of stocks now. We're gonna be cold. We're gonna have displays in the store. So in the floor. So we've now built up that credibility with the retailer that we didn't have before, because we didn't have much, grocery product or grocery sales. And this year we'll see a big uptick in the sales. And then, as far as innovation, Sam and I've been working on for 2.5 years, perfecting a espresso martini in a can, and we finally got it. And more people are drinking it with tequila now. So that's the innovation here on Mamitas, espresso martini. So we'll send you some. It's pretty good.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
If you
go ahead.
haven't had an espresso martini with tequila, please try it. The vanilla pairs so well with the coffee. So it's 8% non-carbonated. We're really excited about this one. Gold can, naturally occurring caffeine.
Right. When does that hit? When will we start to see that at retail?
Just starting now.
Okay.
Yeah, the next couple weeks.
Well, sticking on spirits for a second, I was browsing through your website and I noticed a basic vodka and a basico tequila. When did those launch?
Sean's like, what the heck?
That was probably about 2 years ago. It was just a kind of a passion project. We wanted to make some really good liquid at a reasonable price. And it has limited distribution, mostly Chicago. We have some good bars and restaurants. It's really, really done on premise. It's low key. We don't talk a lot about it. It slowly grows in distribution because of kind of the awareness of bartenders and the things that we do around Chicago. So again, it was a passion project. It's something we wanted to create really good liquid at a reasonable price. We saw everything getting out of control. So.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I want to shift gears just a tiny bit.
Yep.
Jaisen, you mentioned seltzer earlier.
Yep.
And I remember when Four Loko broke the internet with Four Loko seltzer, right?
Yes.
It was like the number 2 trending topic back when you guys were just joking about it, right?
Yep. Yes.
And then you launched it. What was it, like 19% ABV or something crazy?
14% ABV.
14. Sorry.
Yes.
So has that gone the way of the dinosaur? Is that still around, or what happened there?
No, look, I think one of the things about us is we're willing to put things out there, but we know when it's not there or not. I think timing and everything is super important. That category was really in 12-ounce, 12-ounce slim can packs, for the first 1 or 2 years. You just saw, White Claw and Truly getting into the 19.2s and the 24s, recently. I think we were ahead of the curve on it. We switched focus back to other things for Four Loko. So
yeah.
But
No, I mean, good for
fun.
y'all
it was a joke for a tweet, and then it was trending all over the world. And then I think in 4 months we had it in market, which is really hard to do if you know what it takes to put a product from idea to market. It was a concept, so we moved fast. It was like Fashion Nova of FMBs, but it had its run, and then we just pulled back. So
Well, now you can bring it back as a 4-year limited edition pulse,
Right,
yeah,
right,
because you
yes,
need
yes.
that complexity in
Right,
your
right.
supply chain.
Right. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with documentary. We might bring some some older consumers
Right?
back into the Four Loco mix for
Yeah.
nostalgia. So
Yeah, that'll be fun. We'll have a Four Loco viewing party and I'm sure you guys will encourage that, right?
100%.
Well, you mentioned around the world, and
Yeah.
I know international is huge for you guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're in a lot of C stores in Mexico. You're
Yes.
huge in South America.
Yeah.
Some of the fastest growing F&Bs in
Yep.
in the UK.
UK,
What's it
Ireland.
like now? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super interesting. The first place we were was Mexico, and then we, expanded south, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, and then it just continued to go. We're expanding into Brazil, and then we started in Ireland, and it became the number one F&B in Ireland, then Scotland and Northern Ireland. Then we moved into UK. We started in Northern UK, and now we're moving down to London, and it is the fastest growing RTD. Now we're expanding through Europe as well. And then the highest RTD consumption per capita is Australia. So we're starting production in Australia in August, I believe. And so again, I think if we look back, to 2010, a lot of the negative press and the cancel culture stuff that we got, really filtered out throughout the world, and people became super curious. And now, it is an American kind of badge of honor. And we keep it very, very bold and very unapologetically American and obnoxious, and people love it. They absolutely we get the exact same response, surprisingly, in every country that we go into. So it's been really fun. We're now starting to make some like generalized flavors, like for South America, where we'd always kept it real what we have in the US. And now we're starting to get a little more localized, which is also, really helping with sales. But it's really unbelievable of how all over the world people know what Four Loko is. And, we're so stuck in our little box sometimes. You're like, how is that possible? But it is, it is mixed with that and the marketing stuff we do, and social media connects you to everybody. And we keep the brand's fun, right? And the branding's fun. So
is it like a quarter of Four Loko sales international, or like how does that shake out? I don't know if y'all.
Yeah. So it's about, if you look at total US plus indie, and also when we look at NIQ data, we're usually underreported because we have a lot of independents. So right now it's about a third. I mean, based on the growth trajectory, I mean, I think it could be as big as the US business in the next 5 years.
Wow.
Based on where we're going. So we have good, great teams outside the US. We're not just like exporting product. We're actually on the ground, and we're programming and using our platforms across these countries, which is even more. And there's less competition, honestly, in this space and in other places in the world. So
yeah. And then in the US, is it like the Midwest and the Southeast is the stronghold, or how does that break down?
No, I mean, look, it really is the way beer goes, New York down to Florida, Texas, California up, right? We have an outlier in Ohio just because that's where we started the product.
Yeah.
There's a little more consumption there, but
Pride.
we look at, we go where beer goes really. Texas, Florida, New York, California are all really big markets for us.
I have one more.
Yeah.
Jen was talking about breaking the internet.
Yeah.
Four Loko non-alc. Has it ever crossed your mind?
Oh my gosh. How did I not think of that? Brilliant.
We've done some different like April Fool's collaborations. We did one with Mamitas and Celsius, which people loved. And we've really thought about it. Trust me. There's nothing that we haven't thought about. The non-alc world's an interesting one. I think non-alc beer is here to stay. Obviously, there's companies that are doing it really well. But non-alc FMBs, I just don't know. And look, there's a couple of companies doing it. I just don't know how it transcends, the same way. So it would It would be funny. I just don't know if anybody would buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then maybe they have it for fun on their like counter, but I don't think we're going to get like 2 or 3 purchases from that person in a month. So
just put it right next to Liquid Death, right?
Right, exactly. Liquid Death is the four Loko of water. Let's be real.
It totally is. Like, yeah, you guys should anyway. Anyway, on that note. Well, what else, guys? I mean, that was, everything we wanted to ask, some awesome insights, and you guys have got me excited to look out for some new things at retail. So anything else we didn't cover?
Yeah, look, I think we're quiet, so we're sometime forgotten in the conversation of FMB, but that may only be in the press. That's not with the consumer or the retailer. I think we're here and we're always going to be here and we're always going to be a player in this. And I think the category that we've, been a part of since we've started is really only going to continue to grow, and we're going to be a bigger and bigger part of that. So.
And we're always innovating, so you never know what's next.
Yes.
Website next year, so.
You never know what we're working on in the lab.
In the lab, I bet you guys are cooking some more stuff up with Barstool Sports, but I'll wait for those announcements.
Has that partnership gotten any stronger with the move to Chicago?
Yeah, I think, we're very friendly with the Chicago office and everyone here. The talent we work with, they're still in New York. So New York or Florida, honestly. But Chicago, all of our team is in Chicago. So it's nice to have like somewhere to go, meet, get to know. And we love the Chicago folks. We just don't do a lot because it's more sports focused and we don't do as much on the sports side. Ours is more on like the entertainment, cultural, that side of things.
That makes sense. Okay.
That's a good question, though, Sam. I mean, have you guys looked at getting more into sports? I mean, I'm sure you're in some venues, right? Like,
yeah, we are. We actually are with Mamitas. So if there's a brand that could make sense for sports, we talk about it a lot with Mamitas, and similar to how beer strength seltzer is, right? Like, and tequila and spirit-based seltzers are becoming. You're at a tailgate, you're wherever, and that cooler is full of likely spirit-based seltzer. So it's something that we're always looking at. I think we're playing around it right now, not necessarily right in it. We've had partnerships with the LA Rams, Jacksonville Jaguars that are successful for us. So, we may move through, but our whole, with Mamitas, especially this year, is like Mamitas everywhere, just because you can consume it on a golf course, in a pool, similar, espresso martini, that's the whole thing around it. So we're good at sports bars, but not necessarily like in games yet.
Right.
Yeah, and Loko, we do a car a year in NASCAR, like we're doing Talladega this year. But as far as venues for Four Loko, we'd have to have a smaller package, and that's just not part of the brand. So it's tough for Four Loko and venues unless it's a big festival or something that's transcending through the weekend. So
right. Awesome.
Yeah, we'll send you the Talladega cars fun. We're welcome people back to the jungle.
Oh, that fits. That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Not first or fourth, so that's
Oh yeah. My kids haven't seen that movie yet, but I think it's time. They're 6 and 8.
Passage. You gotta see it. It's a life lesson,
right? Exactly. So many life lessons in that movie. So what to do if you're on fire, what to do with your hands,
Right.
So
What do I do with my hands?
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And Four Loko keeps on going. I have some pictures that I have to find. I'll send them to you, Jaisen, from my old Loko days, man. Everybody has them. Right. But thank you guys so much. Great to talk as always, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Yep. Have a good weekend.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.